If you're in a situation where you're experiencing a low in your life, you feel stuck in a rut, whatever you're trying to do is not working for you, then this episode may shed some light, because I'm going to be covering a very important topic, which is the advantage method. My name is Zurika and I live in New Zealand. Now in this episode, I'd like us to focus on just one aspect of reality transurfing, which is a book written by Vadim Zeland. He is a quantum physicist and he is from Russia. In the book, he covers a very important method, which is called the advantage method. Now, how is this going to help you in your life at the moment? Well, the first thing to recognize is that as human beings, we have both highs as well as lows. You cannot always be at a high. You can go to the next level, but there is a high and a low. And if at the moment you are experiencing something that is not working for you, you probably were at a peak in your career, in your business, in your life, and something's happened where you can see yourself moving downwards, where you are experiencing a low. Probably some of you might be at rock bottom. This is normal. And you don't have to get upset or you don't have to be in fear of what's going to happen. Because everyone who reprograms their mind, everyone who works on their own self can change their reality. And in reality transurfing, he speaks about a very powerful concept, which I guess if you get it, you will recognize that you can come out of this. So what he talks about, and I mean, this has been spoken around ages as well by, people like Buddha in the yogic preachings. They speak about that in our universe, there are different realities that are happening simultaneously to you. Get this. You could be in a reality where you're just starting a job. You could be in another reality where you don't like going to work. You could be in another reality where you're thinking about starting a business. You could be in another reality where your business is expanding. You're actually getting all the success that you want. You could be in another reality where your relationships are not working. All these realities are happening right now simultaneously. And we as human beings, if we stay conscious, we can pick and choose the reality that we want. At first, when I came across this, I was like, what is this? How can this even be possible? I'm Zurika, I live in New Zealand, I live in a small town. How could I be ever living in New York, for example, right? But in another reality, this same Zurika could be living in New York. This same Zurika could be not doing a video. This same Zurika could be doing a video. It just depends on what Zurika as a human being consciously decides to pick, and that becomes the reality. So for you to recognize this, think about in the past, there were different realities that you were experiencing. You could have been in a reality where, you came from a poor family and now you are in a middle class situation. But that was a journey, right? And you picked that reality to reach that certain point. Now you have the choice to keep living that reality, or you can pick and choose a different reality. And that's where the advantage method comes into being. If you were at the peak of your career, your business, your life, and something has happened, no matter what has happened, forget about what's happened. If something has happened right now where you can feel that you are going downhill, then accept that you are in that situation. You have to start accepting the situation you are in because of all the actions that have happened in the past and the realities that you've unconsciously chosen. Once we are at that space, then and only then can you use the advantage method. Now let's go into the advantage method. In the advantage method, as human beings in life, there are three kinds of emotions. One, which is positive, second, which is negative, and third, which is neutral. Now, most of us, when we are in the low of our life, we latch on unconsciously, we latch on to lack and scarcity and things not working for us, that we start attracting more of it. Even though we might not want to, it happens. Now, why does it happen? Because when we are in a low, our mind has been programmed logically to start getting into like fear. We get into overwhelm. We get into like anxiety. And I say this because I was in that situation as well. I was at the peak of my career in consulting where, the hourly rate that I would charge was quite high. But I was so focused on that I started letting go of other aspects of my life. And that started having an impact. And somehow I started feeling low and I started going downhill. And it's at that point where I recognized that I could actually hit rock bottom if I don't change something, right? And that's when, instead of attaching negativity, like, why is this happening to me? I am trying to work so hard. Why are others not wanting to see this in me? You could be in the same situation where you are working your ass off, but someone else is getting a promotion. Someone else is getting the job. Someone else is getting the raise in salary. Someone else's business is doing much more than you are, even though you're working longer hours, you're trying to do everything right, you're being honest, you're trying to have integrity. But what we've done is that unconsciously we are so focused on the lack that we don't have that we have completely ignored the reality which is abundance in our life. So now when you accept this, you can change this. Because what it says in the advantage method is that when you catch yourself in a negative space, you take that same negative space and attach a different meaning, which is positive. And I know this sounds weird. Like when you're in that space, you can't think positive. You think this whole positivity thing is BS. I totally get that. But just for a moment, just stay with me. What if there is a lesson that you need to learn so that while you're going downhill, with thinking differently, you are going to exceed the high that you're in, that you were in? You might actually go to a different level of high, but you needed to get this lesson. So in every moment when you're going through the low, consciously start attaching a positive meaning to it. So, for example, when I was going down the low, I recognized that I need to change. And I could keep doing the consulting and billing for my hours, or I could change where I could create a business that does not depend purely on me. That even when I'm sleeping, I could be earning. That was a shift in mindset. That I recognized that, wow, this is happening to me so that I could change my reality. I could have a business that could earn an income not just dependent on me. If others can do it, why can I not do it? And that shift, because I made that shift when I was going low, I started attaching a positive meaning to that low. I'll give you another example. There was a candidate, he migrated from a different country to New Zealand. And in his country, he was at his peak of his career. He was like a thriving software architect, right? But when he migrated to New Zealand, he migrated with a small amount of money, thinking he's going to get a job easily. But for some reason, every interview he went, things were not happening for him. Everyone was saying no to him. Or they were being polite to him and saying, right now, we've put the job on hold. We'll get back to you. Thank you so much for your time. And he was not getting anywhere, to the point where he did not have any money and he reached rock bottom in a completely different country with a family to support, no money to pay his rent, And I followed this guy's journey because I was working with him, and we discussed this just casually over a conversation. And I said, how about attaching a positive meaning to what's happening right now? And so he went home, and I did not hear from him for like 2 or 3 months. And then suddenly he gave me a call and he said, you know what? I have actually attached a positive meaning to what's happening, and my life is completely changing to live in a beautiful country like New Zealand. And I was like, what did you do? And what he did was the following. He went home and he wrote down his current reality. Whatever was happening to him, how he was feeling, he wrote it down. Then he flipped the page and he wrote down what he really wants his reality to be. And once he wrote his new reality, which was that he is going to have a software as a service business in New Zealand, which would be earning him an income that would be higher than going for a job as a software architect. Once he wrote that reality, he started writing everything that was at his low point of how he is learning lessons that is exciting him to change or shift his reality. So it was a small shift, right? From being in a low to how that negative low is actually positive. So the positive that he saw was that because he could go for interviews, he could see the higher management's profiles. He could know how they speak, the type of people that would make decisions. He saw what was the pain point in people who were not actually getting a job. He saw all this. And then he wrote an application because he had the skills, right? He wrote an application which was for time management for current software architects or software engineers who are consultants whose pain point is billing, where they have to record their hours and then generate an invoice, and they had to do this all manually or use a accounting software, but they are not structured to have discipline in their life. So he created a time management tool that would allow his kind to be able to log their hours, and automatically over the month it would generate an invoice. Now, obviously you need to market that solution, and he didn't have the money. So again, instead of actually attaching a negative emotion to that, he put a positive. The reason I don't have this right now, what is the lesson that I have? That smaller startups have this problem of cash, and I am going to learn how to bootstrap. And so he bootstrapped his way by going and working as a lawnmower, by painting houses, by doing cleaning in the night, and he started making some money. His wife as well started going and taking odd jobs, and it was humbling for them, right? But again, it was a lesson that they took in the positive. And whatever his wife was making, he started using that for advertising his service in New Zealand. And automatically, Initially, he gave the application for free so that other people could give him feedback, and automatically over time he started charging. And today his life is completely different. I'm sure if you were an investor, you would think, why did I not invest in this guy? The same clients who said no to him, some of those clients, because they work in those companies, are using that software, right? So now I want you to think, if you are going downhill, instead of focusing on that current problem and keeping on attracting that problem and building it up more, how can you get out of it? By thinking positive, or by having a neutral aspect, which is to accept I'm in this situation, I'm going to let it go. That is neutral. And how am I going to create a new reality? By thinking positively of the lessons that I am experiencing right now in this low period. If you do that small shift from negative to positive or to neutral, you will see that over time, the current reality that you're in will start shifting to the new reality that you are creating. The car is going in this direction, it will start moving because the map is changing, right? And you are the creator of that map. You can decide which road to take, because as reality transurfing talks about, we have different realities that are happening simultaneously right this very moment. And you as the creator, you as the actor of your own movie, which is life, you can pick and choose whichever reality you want to live in. So let us summarize what we covered in this episode. The first thing to remember is that there are different realities happening to us right this very moment. Okay, and we can pick and choose the reality that we want to live. Unconsciously, we have picked a reality that we do not want. But if we stay conscious, we can pick a new reality that is happening right this very moment. To do that, we can use the advantage method, especially when we are going downhill or we are stuck in a rut. The advantage method has the positive emotion, a negative emotion, and a neutral emotion. To use this method, whatever negative is happening in your life right now, look and see what is a lesson that is positive that you can attach a feeling to. If you can attach a positive feeling to what's happening right now, you will start seeing a shift in your reality. And keep focusing on that positive and what you really want. And to do that, you've got to write down your current reality, what's really happening right now. Then flip the page of a book or on a new document and write down the reality that you want. And then write down, what are the key lessons that I am learning that are going to be positive to have a completely different outcome from the low period that you're in. That's the advantage method. So with that, if you do feel that my work is useful, if you'd like to be my virtual friend as much as I would like to be your virtual friend, then please do visit our YouTube channel, which is Living an Amazing Life, or our website, which is livinganamazinglife.com. And I request you to please drop a comment on our YouTube channel of what you got out of this episode and what action you're going to take. And the reason for this comment is simply so that you can train your mind. You've put it out in the universe. Someone in the universe or the community can also learn from you, and it will also help me to be able to learn what are the other things that I need to work on myself and what things that I've learned that I could share based on the comments that I receive. So with that, I'd like to say, take care, have peace, enjoy your life, Take good care of yourself, and I'm sure you're going to be successful. Bye for now. Ciao. Namaste.